Welcome back to the Scarlet and May Show. I'm Zach. This is
Adam.
And so we're going to jump right into it. Nebraska almost pulled off the upset against Michigan.
Almost. Thank you, Brad Hawkins.
Yeah, what are your takeaways?
So it was 17. It was 17-0 twice before the half, but it ended up being 13-0. There were so many reviews and stuff. It was excruciating to watch, not from like a tense, I'm a Michigan fan standpoint, but from a, okay, let's play football thing, but whatever. During the second half, I got frustrated, but Michigan only had 6 drives in the second half. They scored on 4 of them. The problem was 2 of the 4 scoring drives were field goals, while Nebraska also scored on 4 drives, but all of them were touchdowns. The refs were absurd. We talked about it a little bit ahead of time, but they marked Hassan Haskins legitimately 3 yards short of where he actually was on third down. It got overturned, thankfully. It was nice to see old Harbaugh back just screaming at the refs about it. But Nebraska's left end was pretty far off sides on Cade McNamara's interception, so it should have been 3rd and 5 instead of an interception. There was a missed illegal formation on Nebraska's first touchdown. They didn't let Michigan's defense get set on Nebraska's go-ahead last touchdown with 7 minutes left to go in the fourth on 3rd and 4. So it would have been, like, if you stop them there, either Nebraska kicks and they're still losing by 1, or they go for it on 4th down. They got stopped at the goal line before, so who knows. It's not the only time that Nebraska subbed super late, so I think it was honestly like, let's see if we can get this to work, and it did. And, I mean, credit to them, I guess, but it also just should have been.
Yeah, watching it, it looked so weird. Just like, because like I was like, what's the ref doing? Like, because Michigan's supposed to be able to get set when Nebraska subs, and so
they were not set at all.
Because the ref was like, stop holding Martinez from snapping the ball, and then Michigan like was still scrambling, and all of a sudden he just like walks away and like let them snap the ball. And I was like,
no, that was. I mean, it was just not really fair, but
So
Purdue used to sub. They would have like 18 guys in the huddle and then throw a bunch off and try to snap it real quick. And so that's why they changed some rules to let, okay, if the offense is going to sub, the defense can sub. I feel like they're going to have to address that at some point, because I think more teams are going to probably start trying to do something similar.
Right.
And I mean, again, the refs were absurd, but they called 1 delay of game, which was on Nebraska on defense, which was really them simulating the snap. Like trying to clap or whatever. But I think it happened 2 or 3 more times than that, and they didn't call it. It's against the rules. I also just going into next year.
I saw the one play that that Michigan was complaining about it, and I didn't see where Nebraska was clapping though on the one play, but I didn't see the whole game. So
I don't know. I know they called it once, and then there was one time everyone but the center moved. It's like, why would that I don't know. Whatever. And maybe it was just everyone but the center false started at the exact same time. Well, that seems a little weird.
Well, and the center can forget, like, the snap count sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But I honestly, so just as an aside, next year, if you're clapping as a thing, I feel like you should, on the defense, you should be able to clap. Just say hut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But right now, it's the rule. And then not just this game, I don't know what Aiden Hutchinson has to do to get a holding call. Every single game, guys are holding him. Sometimes 2 guys are holding him, and they like never, ever, ever call a hold.
I saw he was the defensive player of the week again according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah. For the record, I don't think it's intentional, the bad officiating. For the most part, when officials are bad, I chalk it up to incompetence, not intentionality.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it didn't end up changing the outcome of the game, I think. But
sounds like the Browns game yesterday.
Yeah.
It's awful.
But Michigan won on the road against a better-than-their-record team. Huzzah. They only punted once in the second half. It was a low-possession game. Then if the offsides is called on the interception, who knows what happens on 3rd and 5.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is getting touchdowns instead of field goals. I don't feel better about the Ohio State game. Bottom line, like, if the same calls would ever happened, Ohio State's not worried about it. They're not like, oh, yeah, we almost lost. They're like, oh, we only won by 30 instead of 50. So it's like,
yeah,
like, okay, I'm glad Michigan won. it doesn't make me feel any better about the Ohio State game, which again is the only game that is ultimately going to matter.
Yeah.
Even if Michigan gets undefeated to that point, if they lose to Ohio State, it's another, oh cool, you didn't make the Big Ten, you did whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think?
My biggest takeaway was everyone wanted to say, not everyone, but the Michigan haters wanted to say that Michigan got lucky, and they're alluding to the Adrian Martinez fumble. But what's the guy's name?
Brad Hawkins. That was a great play.
It was a great play. Like I hate when people try to chalk up great play as luck. Like when the Odell catch. Like that's not luck. That's an insane play. Like I mean, not to compare that to that.
Yeah. It's not like a field goal bounced off the crossbar, went straight up in the air, bounced again, and went in.
Yeah.
I think it was a heady play. Yeah. I felt great that it was Brad Hawkins because he was recruited as a receiver. They shifted him to defensive back, and there have been so many balls. Like he's a receiver, he's supposed to have good hands. There have been so many passes that hit him in the hands and he drops. I'm like, okay, good. He finally got something. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I really had was, I mean, it's not luck when you win a football game, period.
No. I do think it is I told you that immediately after the game I felt worse. When I look at it and I'm like, oh, okay, they only had 6 drives in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a low possession game, so it's going to make it, I mean, it can make it tighter just from that. But then,
yeah.
If they turn the touchdown or field goals into touchdowns, it's not even a big deal and whatever.
Yeah.
But
so my question is,
mm-hmm.
In our group chat, we have a group chat with Robbie, who was our guest star a couple weeks ago. You both were really calling for McCarthy a lot. So how do you stand about that now? Throughout the game,
so McNamara, I feel like right when I say something about a quarterback, they just prove me wrong. But I said McNamara had been accurate on deep shots, and he was just really inaccurate on deep shots this game. The only thing is, I don't know. I'm fine with McNamara. I think if they're going to have any shot against Ohio State, they're going to need more firepower. It's not going to be a low possession game. They're going to need, J.J. McCarthy, period. The only problem I had with this game really is every time, a few years ago, Jabril Peppers would be the Wildcat quarterback, and he threw it 0 times.
Yeah.
So at some point, if you go in, and there was one time Peppers, I think, brought it up, and then he just ran. But it's like, if every single time McCarthy comes in, he threw one pass, and I think it was dropped. But if every time he comes in, you're just going to run the same play, don't do it. It's not throw the ball. On the last play that he was in that they ended up losing yards, I would have loved a pass option. It didn't look like there was one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think before the Ohio State game, he's going to have to come in. He's going to have to be more available. The coaches know more than we do, but it's, yeah. I don't think McNamara is going to be the guy to beat Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree, and I just came to this conclusion as we were sitting here. I think Cade McNamara is Brown's Baker Mayfield light because they got that great run game. And it sets up a lot for him to be able to look good. But I don't think, when the Browns have played teams with high-powered offense, like yesterday, they just can't keep up. They were up most of the game, but the Chargers just kept scoring because they have Justin Herbert who can just gunsling. But Baker Mayfield isn't that in the NFL. And, maybe he can be at some point, and maybe Cade McNamara can be better than that at some point.
It's funny, we talked about it as we were setting up kind of, but I said the Cade McNamara really, when I think about it, he's sort of game manager, take care of the ball, whatever. He's very similar to Wilton Speight and who did I even say? Jake Rudock. Yeah. Jake Rudock and Wilton Speight. And then I also said he's not the guy to do it, and Wilton Speight came pretty close in 2016.
Yeah.
They also, it seems like the offense was not as explosive for Ohio State in 2016.
Right.
We'll see.
And as bad as the defense looked at the beginning of the season, the defense might be better than 2016 at this
That's
point.
Also a good point. But, yeah, so I don't know. I like I said, I'm not feeling any better about the game. against Ohio State to end the year, but I don't know. I am glad that McNamara's still, he has that one pick, should have been offsides, whatever. Even if it's, okay, he has one pick. He has one pick.
Yeah.
He's not turning the ball over a lot. I still think McCarthy is going to have to be the guy if they're going to want it to happen.
Yeah. I agree.
Ohio State 66, Maryland 17.
Maryland came out with a clear defensive game plan, and that was to make C.J. Stroud beat them because they were all over the run game in the first half. And C.J. Stroud did exactly that and beat them. C.J. Stroud looked comfortable. He has 10 passing touchdowns in the past 2 games. Michigan and Wisconsin's offenses have 10 passing touchdowns combined this whole season. That's 11 games. And the defense just keeps continuing to improve. They're top 5 in interceptions. They're 11th in sacks nationally. And I just think that Ohio State's rolling right now, and they're going into a bye week, and I just think they're going to continue to improve.
Yeah, I agree. That's why the only thing that I wrote is I'm excited for our first basketball episode next week. Yeah, pick standings. We both went 4-0. We
didn't even realize it when
No.
we picked them that we picked the same exact picks.
You
It's
texted
funny.
me at some point Saturday.
Yeah,
Dude, did we have the same picks?
yeah.
I was like,
It
I
dawned
don't
on
think
me,
so,
like,
but we
halfway through
did.
the day, yeah.
So we both went 4-0. I'm 52-11. You're 50-13.
Yeah.
So I'm still ahead. The world is still moving. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Week 6, Big Ten takeaways. I just have one, and then I have a couple more things nobody are talking about. 1 week maybe segment later on, but Spencer Petras is so bad. So Iowa is number 2 nationally, and I wonder when the last time was that the quarterback for the number 2 team in the country was this bad, like 1932 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't like. Iowa really only won because Sean Clifford went out.
It's funny because I saw that almost exact same quote. They didn't say the 1932 part.
Yeah.
From an Iowa fan on
Oh my
Reddit
gosh.
saying, when has there been not quarterback, but when has there been a worse offense ranked number 2?
I
in the history
texted
of
one of my
football?
friends from Iowa during the game, and I said, imagine if Iowa had an offense. And he just said, imagine if Iowa had a quarterback. I was like, yep.
Because Goodson's good. I mean, he's
Yeah,
solid.
I like Goodson, but there's just Petras is just awful.
Yeah.
Our pick for this game was right, but I also feel way better even about my pick or about my take that whoever it is that wins the East, Ohio State will beat the West champion easily.
Yeah.
So shoot, okay, each of the top 4 in the East I think could beat number 1 in the West, especially neutral field. So Ohio State, yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Michigan,
Yeah.
I'd take Michigan.
Yeah, for
Michigan State, I'd take Michigan State.
Yeah.
Penn State, if they had Sean Clifford for the whole game, I
Yeah.
mean, we just saw that. and it was-
Yeah. If Sean Clifford's in that whole game, they win that game.
So, I mean, way to go, Big Ten West.
Yeah.
Do you have any Big Ten takeaways?
I think that we are on a collision course for the best offense in the country against the best defense in the country. And no, I am not talking about the Big Ten championship game. I'm talking about the national championship game,
Oh, boy.
where Ohio State will play Georgia.
Oh, boy.
And I think that they're the only 2 teams right now that actually look like they're like playoff contenders. They're only 2 teams that right now at this moment look like national championship teams.
I just want Alabama to lose a second game
Yeah.
in the regular season.
I'd love for them to lose this week to Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi State beat Texas A&M, so why not?
Let's go. It could happen.
I just love that. Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
Alabama losing, that was great.
It was
That's
great.
not a Big Ten takeaway, and this isn't really a Big Ten takeaway either. But I mean, Ohio State's in the Big Ten, so it kind of is.
It's
But,
whatever.
My other Big Ten takeaway is we have 5 teams in the top 10. That's
Yeah.
insane. I feel like people aren't even talking about that enough. Like the Big Ten is so good right now.
That's because
even if
well,
it's
now Iowa's
even if
number
it's-
2, but
Yeah,
SEC still had the top 2. But yeah.
right. Even if it's like, even if it's the East, that's mainly it. Like it's still incredible to have 5 teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I do think. I'm going to just say this. I think I will be surprised if Iowa makes it through the regular season undefeated, even though the rest of their regular season looks pretty
Well,
freaking easy.
Who's going to beat them? Nebraska?
I mean, I don't know. If the defense stops getting, if a team takes care of the ball, who knows? They get so many turnovers.
Yeah.
And again, it's not all luck.
Right.
However, if a team is able to take care of the ball, can that offense move at all?
Right.
I don't know. And then imagine if Petrus, like he threw.
I thought it was incredible that like Kirk Ferentz trusts so much in his defense
Yeah.
that he took a knee knowing that he'd have to punt the ball back to him, only up by 3. I've never seen that in the history of football.
Ferentz too. That's hilarious.
He trusted in their defense so much and knew that Penn State's backup was so terrible that he could just take a knee and punt it. It reminds me of the story. I've obviously never watched the game, but it was some like huge blizzard in the Ohio State Michigan game like forever ago, and they literally just punted it back and forth the whole game because they couldn't do anything.
It's kind of like he trusts his defense that much. He also obviously doesn't trust Spencer Petrus enough.
But why not run the ball? If you break a first down, it's game over. But instead, I don't know.
If you run the ball, something bad can happen. Instead of like 3 yards in a cloud of dust,
it
it's
makes
like
sense.
negative 3 yards in a cloud of fart. That's so dumb. Whatever.
That's great.
Speaking of farts, rapid fire turd pile picks. Michigan State at Indiana this week, just because there's no good games. We have a new game of the week, but then also we're going to use the spread, right?
Yeah, both Ohio State and Michigan are on byes, so it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's the point of our show.
Yeah.
For those two, and then they're both off.
Yeah.
Michigan State at Indiana. So I'm shocked by this. Michigan State is only favored by 3.5.
Wow.
I have Michigan State.
Yeah, I got Michigan State. They'll win outright. Their offense is too good, and I think Indiana's offensive line, I've said all year, is terrible.
Well, and their quarterbacks are terrible,
Yeah.
and everything is terrible. Nebraska at Minnesota. Nebraska's favored by 2.5.
I think that's crazy too, because Minnesota's not a good football team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've got Nebraska.
I got Nebraska too.
Yeah.
Rutgers at Northwestern. This one, okay, the Michigan State line blew my mind. This one explodes my mind. Even. Rutgers at Northwestern. Northwestern is basically a high school team. Even. I really don't understand it. Rutgers by 1,000. I don't care.
Yeah. Rutgers by 999.
Like, it's so funny. Rutgers' defense is okay, whatever. Their offense sucks. They're going to be without their receiver.
Yeah.
They're down a couple more people, I think. They're starting left tackle, maybe. But even still, come on. I think Rutgers is going to win by double digits easily.
Yeah.
Purdue at Iowa. Iowa's favored by 11.5. I got Iowa.
I actually with the spread, I like Purdue in this one. I think Iowa will win outright, but I mean, like you said, Petrus sucks. I mean, if Purdue turns the ball over, which is likely, and throws some pick sixes, that'll give them the spread.
Yeah. But earlier in the year, I liked Purdue just because I sort of assumed some Jeff Brom good offense. But oh my gosh, their offense. They just need a quarterback. They need playmaker, and they don't have any.
Yeah.
Army at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's favored by 13.
I mean, this is the same reason I picked Purdue. I'm taking Army with the spread. I think Wisconsin will win outright, but I just will Wisconsin score 13 points?
I actually think Army is going to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same pick, but I don't think Wisconsin's going to win by 14 or more.
I think Wisconsin will win, and it won't. The score will be closer than it actually is on the field, just because Army will have the ball for so long.
It really could be like we talked about how Michigan had 6 possessions in the second half. This could be a 6-possession game.
Yeah.
This is going to be
right.
A big
if you like
game.
Offense, do not turn on the Army Wisconsin game.
Especially if you like downfield passing.
Yeah,
Watch. I don't know. Whatever. Just Wisconsin's. I was going to say something about Graham Mertz or Chase Wolf, and goodness gracious,
for this week's game of the week, we
Yeah.
wanted to find the worst game in football and call it the game of the week.
The king of the turd pile.
Yeah. So this week went with 0-6 Arizona at 1-4 Colorado, and Colorado's one win is against an FCS school,
which has Dylan McCaffrey as the quarterback, former
Yeah.
Michigan quarterback. Arizona, coached by Jed Fish, former Michigan offensive coordinator, with defensive coordinator Don Brown.
Wow.
Obviously used to be at Michigan.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad Michigan is so well represented. Goodness gracious. Anyways, at Colorado, I picked a score, even though we just had to pick the spread.
Oh yeah.
Picked a 23-9. So Colorado by 14. I just think it's going to be a really weird, ugly, gross.
I think I got Arizona by 1. I think Arizona wins.
Ooh.
I'm coming up with the score right now in my head just because I think your score is hilarious. I'm going to come up with an even funnier score.
3-2.
13-12.
I like it.
No, 12 to 11. 12 to 11.
That is better.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So this week, things nobody is talking about. Nebraska. How many do you have, first of all?
I have 2.
Me too.
No, I have 3.
Okay.
I have 3.
Whatever. You do 2 at the end. Nebraska is 3-4 with 3 losses to now top 10 teams, but their worst loss of the season in terms of margin of victory and hilarity is Illinois. So remember, they had 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes to bring it to 8, but they were down 30-9 with 4 minutes and 1 second left in the game against Illinois.
Wow.
How does that happen?
Then they're within 1 score against Oklahoma, Michigan State. Wow.
Amazing. What do you got?
Clemson is favored by 2 touchdowns against Syracuse when they have yet to score 2 touchdowns in regulation against an FBS opponent all season.
That's
like how do you expect them to win by 2 touchdowns if they can't even score 2 touchdowns?
They had to fire Dabo.
They've yet to score more than 2 touchdowns. Sorry, I said that wrong. But still, with 2 touchdowns, I'm assuming Syracuse will get at least a field goal.
Man alive.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Michigan State's schedule looked pretty tough before the season started. They had Northwestern, right? They had Miami, who was supposed to be super good. But through 6 games, the only team they've played who's only 500 is Rutgers. That blows my mind. So Rutgers is 3-3. No one else that they've played is 500. All of them are worse than 500. MSU has looked super explosive. So every one of their touchdowns on Saturday was from 60 yards or more. Wow. But so their schedule is so backloaded, seemingly like every team in the East. We'll see how this thing shakes out. Probably Penn State, Michigan State beat each other up while Ohio State separates themselves yet again. But I said last week, I'm buying in more to Michigan State. I still am. I think they're still pretty unknown, just because of who they've played.
Right. No, I think they're definitely a solid team, but they're yet to show whether they're pretenders or contenders.
Yeah. And for the record, I feel the same way about Michigan right now. We just talk more about Michigan because I care more about Michigan, and that's the point of the show. But they're both.
For the record, that's how I feel about Penn State too.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Especially as we go along, Wisconsin, that win doesn't look like anything.
Right.
Where it was like a huge win at the start of the year. I agree.
Yeah. So my other one was Ohio State's defense has scored a touchdown in 5 of 6 games this season. Their terrible, awful defense, worst defense in history, has scored 5 of 6 games this year.
They need to re-promote their old defensive coordinator.
It's funny, he actually won game ball. He actually won the game ball, Kerry Coombs.
Why?
Because, they were saying that he's
humble in his demotion.
Yeah, he's dealt it really professionally and has still contributed a lot to the defense. And Ryan Day gave him the game ball.
That's too bad. What's your last one?
My last one is the best player on Alabama, who is perennially the best team in America the last 15 years, is an Ohio State transfer that wasn't good enough to get enough playing time at Ohio State. Jameson Williams, who had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns against A&M.
Sort of the parallel
142 yards, I think.
Dylan McCaffrey and Joe Milton transferring out, doing so well elsewhere. Programs are on par with each other.
Jameson Williams is a dog, and I wish there was a way we could have found a way to get him on the field more. But when you have Chris Olave coming back and Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith and Jigba, then you got players coming in like Imuka Bekpa. I don't even know if I said his name right, but he was the number 1 wide receiver this year. And
sound like a casual fan. I'm joking.
No, it's hard to say his name. And, you got Julian Fleming, who was the number 1 wide receiver the year before that, who's still developing. And you got guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., who is, in fact, the son of Marvin Harrison, the Indianapolis Colts wide receiver.
Yep.
Not just a coincidence that his name's Marvin Harrison Jr., but, when you got that wide receiver room loaded like that, I understand why he transferred. But I think it's incredible that, in my opinion, he's the best player on that team.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It might be a little biased, but
a little bit, maybe. Also, I mean, why would you not think so, given the last 20 years or whatever? Tweet of the week. Mine is a two-parter. So 2 hours after. This is from.
Wait, before we do to the tweet of the week,
Yeah.
we have a fan submitted
yeah.
question from Katie from Lansing. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick.
Yeah.
That's behind my back because we forgot to put it in our notes.
Yeah.
And I thought of it as we were sitting here.
I'm so glad you remembered.
Okay, so it's specifically for you, Adam.
Yeah.
It says, does Adam agree with this statement from a Michigan fan? Offense is terrible, need McCarthy, need creativity, very bland. You kind of covered that a little bit, but just
I don't think it's very bland. I just think it's not explosive. So like we talked about how Michigan State had 4 touchdowns of 60 yards or more. It seems like if Michigan, they've had some deep passes, but especially on Saturday, their, for the most part, biggest plays were runs, but they were also very efficient. They just ended their drives with field goals instead of touchdowns. I would just reiterate, I think the offense is okay, but to be great, I think they'll need to beat Ohio State, they're going to need J.J. McCarthy. So I don't know. The offense is fine. I don't think it's bland. I think it's creative enough. It's just not super explosive.
I saw a tweet, and I can't remember what it said exactly, and I'm just thinking of it now that you're talking about it, but they were bashing on Michigan's offense, saying that it's so basic that it's literally 3 plays. But I can't remember the third play. One was running up the middle, one was throw it downfield, and then I don't even remember what the third one was. But they were saying that they were running 3 plays the whole game.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe they're holding it all back for Ohio State.
Yeah, maybe.
That'll be McCarthy's first start. Hope not. But, I don't know. I do think it's important to keep in mind the wide receiver injuries that Michigan had on Saturday. But, I mean...
Well, and just losing Ronnie Bell is going to, the first game he had that huge bomb of a catch, and then he had that incredible catch on the sideline that ended up being
and they had talked about him as maybe an All-American in practice. They were expecting a huge year from him. And
Didn't he start as a walk-on?
No, he was just a basketball recruit, and then he was a 2-star receiver recruit. Michigan was his only offer.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I remember Harbaugh got a lot of crap for taking him, but whatever. Roman Wilson, fastest probably receiver on the team. Him being out, I think, hurt. It did seem like they were trying to force it to Dalen Baldwin quite a bit, and I don't understand why. Like he's fine. I'm just like, okay, he's dropped a few. Stop trying to force it to him.
Yeah.
Whatever. So anyway, long story short, I think the offense is okay. They're just not explosive. I'm fine with it for the most part. If they had turned the field goals into touchdowns, I don't think the question would even have come up.
Yeah, that's true.
But
so tweet of the week.
Tweet of the week, 2-parter. So 2 hours after the game, a single balloon gently hovers over the press box. Nebraska always releases a bunch of red balloons. It did seem like there were some late released. One ended up coming onto the field right after a play. But then Ace Enbender responded with this photo of Scott Frost releasing his heart balloon. I just thought that was amazing. It was really funny.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
What do you got?
I've got, the Duke's Mayo Bowl official Twitter account, it's got the blue check and everything, tweeted, we have seen many tweets about Alabama versus Clemson in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And then they said, as a reminder, we can only select teams with 6 wins or more, which is it's just so funny that it comes from the official account and that they're saying Alabama and Clemson going to get 6 wins, which they obviously will, but it's just so funny.
Yeah. No, Clemson might not, but...
No, they will.
I know they will.
Yeah.
They're just worse than Alabama.
They might only have 8 or 9, but...
Yeah. Well, that's it for now. What?
Who was it that said it on the first episode that Clemson's not going to be Clemson this year and that DJ Uigalumuvau is not that good?
Probably me.
No.
No, I'm just joking. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. I'm the one that said Sean Clifford's not good and Petra sucks, but...
Yeah.
You got one. Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, Zach. That's it for the week. Next week, we'll either have a long episode or 2 episodes, one being basketball.
Yeah.
Since Michigan and Ohio State are off, we won't have as much to recap. But follow, subscribe, share, whatever, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, we're at Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Scarlet May Show.
Just remember, to buy your apple cider, your donuts
Yep.
at Quality Dairy. See you next week.
See you.